All right, some details have come out about the nut job who attempted to shoot up the Lakewood Church in Houston, but thanks to two brave men, she was stopped. Let's check it out.
Video inside Lakewood Church during yesterday's deadly shooting.
What we are learning about the shooter, the victims, and the investigation.
Also tonight, new details about the shooting at Lakewood Church yesterday afternoon that left an armed woman dead and her young child fighting for his life.
Police say a Conroe woman was shot and killed after walking into Lakewood Church with her son and opening fire.
Today, police confirming the identity of the shooter as Genesee Yvonne Moreno, and the child who was shot was her 7-year-old son. Police say Moreno opened fire in the west side hallway of the church before being killed by two off-duty officers.
Our KHU 11 news crews have been digging all.
This is why it's so important for churches to have armed security. This is exactly why. These brave men were able to neutralize the threat before any big tragedy happened.
All day to bring you up-to-the-minute information. We begin with Adam Bennett. He is live at Lakewood. Adam, you learned a lot from police today.
I sure did, Mia. First, we learned that the AR-15 rifle used in this shooting was legally bought back in December, and that it had a sticker on it that simply read Palestine. We also learned that a 57-year-old man who was shot in the leg in this attack, who police say was just simply an innocent bystander, he has been released from the hospital. Today, we heard from Houston's police chief, the lead investigator in this case, and an FBI special agent in charge for nearly an hour as they spoke to reporters. They all told us they are still looking for a motive in this attack. The lead investigator told us that Moreno forced her way past security at gunpoint with her 7-year-old son and a bag with a .22 caliber rifle inside just before 2 yesterday afternoon. Commander Christopher Hassick says Moreno then began shooting in the west hallway outside of the sanctuary before quickly getting into a shootout with two off-duty officers. Moreno died on scene while her son was shot in the head but survived. Police say they are still investigating whose bullets struck that young boy.
We do want to stress that she acted alone. We do believe this was what we term a lone wolf, lone suspect situation. We do not believe this is part of a larger nexus. She is not part of a larger group or set of individuals. We believe that Genesee Moreno acted alone.
And Commander Hassick told us HPD does have a history with Moreno. Specifically, they had put her under an emergency detention order back in 2016. They say she has a documented mental health history. This afternoon, Lakewood Church is still a crime scene. Police Chief Troy Finner says he'll work with church leadership to let churchgoers know when they can go to pick up their cars and belongings left behind during yesterday's attack. Len.
Adam, thank you. Also tonight, KHOU investigates learned of a connection between the shooter and Lakewood. Jeremy Rogowski joins us now. What did you and your team find out today, Jeremy?
Yeah, Len, we poured through court documents and the shooter's social media accounts and learned Genesee Moreno went to Lakewood Church at one time, as did her mother. And at one point, Moreno's ex-mother-in-law says she approached Lakewood's staff.
Now, there's been a lot of confusion of whether this was a man or a woman who shot up the church, transgender, whatever. But based on what I've been seeing and the investigations done by the police, she identified as female. Now, she used an alias. She used different names, male names, in previous, in the past. When she was arrested, she's been arrested multiple times. A lengthy criminal history, but yeah, she had a 7-year-old son. She was married to a man who is now in jail down in Florida, but everything looks like this is a woman, and she looks very feminine in a lot of her pictures. Her previous mug shots look very feminine, and she was using different names, male names as an alias, so yeah.
With questions about her daughter-in-law's behavior. On Instagram in 2020, Genesee Moreno posted confirmation of a recent donation she made to Lakewood Church, writing, "I will honor and bless my church." Nearly 4 years later, police say she brought her 7-year-old son and an AR-15 rifle to Lakewood and began firing.
We want to know the motive, how she got the weapon, why she did this. We're not there yet.
Officials remain tight-lipped about a motive, but these court documents reveal Moreno had been involved in a contentious divorce and custody battle for her son. Her ex-mother-in-law, Rabbi Wally Carranza, intervened in the case, claiming Moreno had a diagnosis of schizophrenia, had been investigated 4 times by CPS, and intentionally harmed her child twice. Court records show Carranza says she sought assistance from the pastoral staff at Joel Osteen's church to understand Moreno's behavior. In 2022, Moreno won custody of her son after her Jewish ex-mother-in-law never appeared in court. Fast forward nearly 2 years later, authorities found anti-Semitic writings at Moreno's Conroe home.
We do believe that there was a familial dispute.
Sadly, she was given custody because the mother-in-law failed to show up.
That has taken place between her ex-husband and her ex-husband's family, and some of those individuals are Jewish. So we believe that might possibly be where all of this stems from.
Now, the 36-year-old Moreno had a criminal history dating back to 2005 with charges ranging from theft to forgery, assault, and unlawful carrying of a weapon. Court records show she used another name, Jeffrey Escalante, in some of those cases. Len and Mia.
Thanks for unpacking all of that for us, Jeremy Rogowski.
Now, her neighbors complained about her a lot. They lived in fear because of this woman. She was a total nut job. Check out what some of these people had to say.
We're hearing from neighbors who say the Lakewood Church shooting suspect harassed them for years.
Police raided Genesee Moreno's home in Conroe overnight. Our team coverage continues now with our Courtney Peel. She's outside the home with why neighbors feel the tragedy at the church could have been prevented.
Neighbors tell me they've called police dozens of times over the years after they felt Genesee Moreno put their lives in danger. Safety has been a major concern for neighbors living next to Genesee Moreno.
I mean, we've been living in fear for the past, 3 years.
I spoke with a neighbor on the phone who asked to remain anonymous. He says other neighbors took the brunt of Moreno's threats.
She pulled a gun on somebody, I think last year, a pistol. Wow. On a neighbor. She, I guess, painted a swastika on one of the neighbor's fences.
Detectives from multiple agencies were seen collecting evidence and electronic devices from Moreno's Conroe home overnight. This was hours after police say Moreno...
There's a woman who lived next door who saw her pulling out rifles, maybe from a car or something, and she said she approached her, started walking towards him and asked, "What are you doing?" And this woman, the nut job, said, "Don't come any closer. I'll kill you. Don't come on my property." So she has a history of a range of this crazy stuff. A lot of phone calls, and people felt like it was not handled properly. That this should have been dealt with.
Opened fire in Lakewood Church with a child by her side. A TABC agent and an off-duty HPD officer also fired, killing Moreno.
Neighbors have been reporting this person for 3 to 4 years to county, city, and federal law enforcement, and nothing's been done. Wow. So we're late to the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, look what happened. She's trying to kill people at church.
I have reached out to Conroe police about the reports that neighbors made against Moreno, but I am waiting to hear back. We'll hear more from neighbors at 5.
Yeah, so I was able to watch, like I said, some of those complaints. One of them was noise, loud music, harassment, weapons, things like that, threatening people. And the police, they claimed that they didn't have things weren't sufficient enough, I guess, to make an arrest. A lot of these noise complaints and things like that wasn't enough to make an arrest. And I don't know if people were reporting her federally and state, locally, and nothing was done about it. That's a problem, because we see this a lot in these mass shootings, or these mass shootings, or people who attempt to do these mass shootings, that there was a lot of calls to the authorities, and things just weren't handled properly. Like the guy up in Maine. I remember that a few months back. I believe it was, well, maybe 6 months ago, actually. 5, 6 months ago, the guy in Maine who committed that mass shooting at, in it was a bar and a couple of other places, I think. But people called about him and nothing was done. Now, let's check this out. She posted a post on social media of her cleaning an AR-15, and then, as the video showed, donating to the church. And she also was a Bernie Sanders supporter. In the lead up to the 2020 presidential election, Moreno supported socialist Bernie Sanders, saying, "I want him to the office as U.S. president." Arrest records also show she was an El Salvadorian immigrant. In 2010, it appears U.S. Immigration, ICE, and Customs Enforcement had lodged an immigration detainer against Moreno, but the federal detention request was lifted more than a month later. She had a violent criminal history dating back to 2005. Previously arrested for assaulting a public servant, assault causing bodily injury, forgery, theft for stealing cosmetics from a store, evading police, and unlawfully carrying a weapon, among a slew of other charges on Moreno's decades-old rap sheet. Now, this woman was a nut job. Lengthy criminal history. People like this are poised to commit heinous crimes like mass shootings. She's also schizophrenic, and she's 30. She was 36. So, dating back to when she was a teenager, she was committing multiple crimes, and I'm not surprised by this. But thank goodness these brave men who stepped up and neutralized the threat before it really got out of hand. Unfortunately, a 57-year-old man was shot, and he's okay though. But her son was shot as well, 7-year-old son, and we will see what happens with that. Whose bullet it was, how he, if he survives. I think he is. I think he will survive, but thankfully. But it's a sad situation, and this is why it's so important for places to be secure, because they had not been there. That security had not been there. These off-duty, these guys carrying a weapon, off-duty officer, and one was a TABC guy. Who knows what would have happened? That church is big. It's a mega church. That thing is huge. A lot of people could have been killed. So thankfully, these men were there to save the day and completely take out this threat. I love when I see them. I like it when there are. I don't love situations like this. Obviously, it's tragic. But what I'm saying is, I love when I see men or women stepping up and taking out a potential mass shooter. We saw this at a mall, I think in Indiana. A young man, maybe 22 years old, stopped a mass killing. We like to see. You like to see citizens stepping up and taking care of business, protecting people. You love to see it. This is why we have the Second Amendment, because bad guys are always going to do bad things, going to find ways to commit crimes, get a hold of weapons. But this is why armed citizens are so important. But all right, guys, that's all I have for you right there. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. This potential tragic situation was neutralized by two brave men. This woman was a nut job. And yeah. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Thank you. Take care.